Real Virginia is produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Farming, it's all good. Visit our website at vafarmbureau.org.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful products we enjoy. Peanut harvest will be wrapping up soon. We'll learn more about this unique Virginia crop. It's time to decorate for fall, and garden mums are an easy way to do so. And what happens to racehorses when they retire? We'll visit a show designed to help more thoroughbred racehorses find new homes. Welcome back, everyone. We're here on this farm in Sussex County to highlight one of Virginia's most famous crops and perhaps its tastiest treat. The Virginia peanut has deep roots in Virginia's history. The first commercial crop of peanuts in the United States was actually produced in 1842 in southeastern Virginia. Today, one of the places you're most likely to find a Virginia peanut is at a ball game.
The Virginia peanuts are a larger peanut. They're a lot of what we grow they're referred to the ballpark peanut or the gourmet peanut. It's the salted peanuts in the tins. And that's what sets the Virginia type peanut from the other runner type peanuts.
Like many Virginia peanut growers, the Monahan family has been growing peanuts for generations. Beginning on their Century Farm in Sussex County, first farmed by his great-great-grandfather, Monahan began raising peanuts 31 years ago. And today he farms with his sons, Drew and Brad, by his side. The majority of the Virginia-type peanut production in the United States comes from the Virginia-Carolina production area, made up of Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Peanuts are produced in Virginia in 8 localities in the southeastern region of the state. The sandy soils in the southeast make it great peanut farmland. Seeds are usually planted in May, and farmers are busy harvesting their crops by the end of September or the first part of October.
You'd be surprised how many people don't realize that peanuts grow underground. After the plant goes through a flowering stage, it produces a peg from the vine that goes underground and eventually develops into the pod, which turns out as the peanut that everyone recognizes.
In 2002, a 70-year-old federal quota system for peanuts ended as the government phased out price and supply controls for the crop. Most producers today have contracts with peanut buyers instead of selling on the open market, although there are still some open sales of peanuts. There are 135 acres of peanuts that will be harvested on the Monahan farm this fall. The family used to grow up to 350 acres when the quota system was in place.
You knew up front when you planted them what you could get, and it was a good program. And when that ended, it basically is on a supply and demand contract every year now, and is based on the nation's productions on peanuts, and that has affected the contract sometimes from year to year, depending on the crops that are grown in other areas too.
Peanuts in this field will be dug and dried in the field before going to the buyer. The weather should be dry for days before peanuts are dug and harvested.
We dig them, and then they'll stay on the ground and naturally dry. And then once we harvest them, we will put them in peanut drying trailers and dry them with heat and air. And once they get down to the certain percent moisture to sell, we will carry them to our buyer in town. It's a very unique harvest, and it's an amazing process to see them dug and harvested.
According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, peanuts account for about half of all nuts eaten in the United States. In 2012, peanuts were ranked number 16 in Virginia farm value, bringing in $24 million in cash receipts. All good reason for folks to celebrate the Virginia peanut, the official nut of the Old Dominion.
Sussex County is in the heart of Virginia peanut country, the 8 localities in the southeastern corner of the state that have traditionally produced the most peanut crops. The 123 farms here actually produce more corn, soybeans, and wheat than peanuts, but it's a very valuable crop for farmers. So are cotton and hay, along with beef cattle. Sheep and chickens are also raised here. The number of farms has been shrinking as suburban development moves closer. Still, agriculture contributes $37 million to the economy of Sussex County, Virginia.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about mums from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Some folks love to decorate for fall, and as Chris Mullins shows us, it's pretty easy to grow your own mums from the ground up.
Hi, welcome. Today we're in Sussex County, Virginia. We're at Pine View Greenhouses. They grow mums, obviously. Look at all these beautiful garden mums that are out here today, all kinds of different colors. We've got this nice kind of a burnt orange here, red, yellow. Yellow is one of the most popular. People love that one. Some really beautiful colors here. And people love mums. In the fall, they're one of the few plants that are blooming out there during September and October. Just a really nice plant to put in the fall garden to make a decorative display with pumpkins and straw. And what we're talking about here are hardy garden mums, not the florist chrysanthemums that you see. These are a little bit different. These will do very well in most of the climates in Virginia. And people will buy these in these beautiful decorative pots that you see here, just like this. They're not terribly expensive. You'll find them at just about any garden center. Really nice, and they look nice, and then you put them on your patio, on your deck, on your front porch. And some of the care and tips that you might do with these is they need a lot of water. You can imagine when they've been growing out here at the farmer's field, they give them water every day, and they're in a soilless type media, so as you have these on your deck or your patio, you want to continue that practice. You want to water these just about every day as you're going into the fall. You might cut back a little bit. And in terms of fertilizer, they don't need a whole lot. Sometimes the grower will have put some slow release fertilizer in here, and as they're blooming anyway, they don't need a lot of fertilizer. So if you grab these in a pot like this, put them on your deck, they don't need a lot of maintenance, a lot of care, and they'll bloom for you throughout the growing season. But there's some other things that you can do with these if you buy them and want to take them home and maybe put them in the garden. Let's talk about that next. These mums are in a little bit different pot, a little bit smaller too, than the mums we just looked at. Less decorative pot. This would be something you'd maybe buy in early fall and put in the ground. And they'll do well in Virginia in the ground. They'll probably even overwinter for you. And so the process you'd go through, you'd take this, find a nice well-drained location and put this in the ground. For the first couple weeks, you want to water it pretty heavily, make sure that it gets established very well. And you'll have beautiful blooms throughout the fall. Now, in terms of fertilization, doesn't need much, just like the larger pots. But as this blooms throughout the fall, it'll start to kind of die back, and then when it freezes, you'll notice all the plant will kind of die back and look brown. I would leave all that plant material around the plant. It'll kind of give it some protection through the winter time. Now then in the springtime, probably sometime in May, you'll start to see some shoots coming up out of the ground. Then you can go ahead and clean that area up around from last year's plant, kind of cut all that out of there. As those shoots come up, you know, they're going to be probably nice green shoots that'll come right up out of the ground in the springtime. They're going to the plant will start coming up and not be round necessarily like this, but it'll probably be single shoots, a few of them coming up. And what you can do is you can go ahead and pinch that back or cut that back. If you take and cut about half that stem back of each of the stems that are coming up, what that'll do is it'll cause the plant to branch out and make itself more round like this here. Otherwise, it'll get more tall and leggy, and they'll tend to flop over when they bloom. So a couple of these pinches through the summer, maybe the last pinch by the 4th of July, and that'll also help to delay flowering until the fall when you want it. In the springtime, you can also find mum transplants that you can put in the ground, and they'll flower for you at the same time in the fall. So you don't just have to look at the fall to buy those and put them in the ground. But either way, mums can be a great plant to go in the landscape or around the house. For more information about mums and how to care for them, please contact your local county extension office and talk to your master gardener. From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
Up next on Real Virginia, Carissa Jackson has a fall treat for us from the heart of the home. Stay with us.
Barry, time is running out. According to my calculations, 1 in 5 kids in America struggles with hunger. How can so many children face hunger when there's more than enough food to feed them all?
Babadoo.
You're right, Barry. We can help solve hunger by teaming up with Feeding America to get food to hungry kids in communities across the country.
Help Flint and the Feeding America network of food banks get food to the people who need it in your community. Find your local Feeding America food bank at feedingamerica.org/hunger.
Together, we're Feeding America.
I'm Lee Lukowski.
And I'm Tiffany Lukowski from the Crush TV.
And we want to join the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries in reminding you to always wear a safety harness when hunting from a tree stand.
Be safe and happy hunting.
Nothing says fall like apples, and Miss America 2010 Carissa Jackson joins us with a great dish using apples in a pork loin recipe in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Carissa Jackson for Heart of the Home, and today we're going to be making a cinnamon apple pork loin. For this recipe, we'll be using a 2 to 3 pound piece of pork loin. We'll use 1 to 2 apples. We have a tablespoon of honey, a tablespoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of brown sugar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, a tablespoon of olive oil. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to salt and pepper our pork loin to taste. And then we're going to pan sear it so that it's brown on both sides. This will be about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Meanwhile, you can preheat your oven to 350 and go ahead and foil line a baking dish. On the bottom of that baking dish, we're going to take a few of our apple slices and lay them along the bottom. And this will serve as the base that we will put our pork loin on top of. You want to keep it on until you get a nice brown color. If you're using a grill pan like I'm using, you want to make sure that there's a few of those lines on there. Make it really pretty when it's time for slicing. And then we are going to take our pork loin and lay it on top of the apples. Take this off of the heat. And then we're going to cut some 3-inch deep slits all throughout the pork loin. All right, and in these slits we are going to put some of our apple slices. Try to find a small one here for this one. All right, we're going to close the pack up. And then we're going to let it bake on 350 for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to make our cinnamon sauce. Now it's time to make our cinnamon sauce. We're going to start with 1 tablespoon of honey. One tablespoon of cinnamon. 1 teaspoon of brown sugar, and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice for now. We're going to stir it up. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. This will create a nice brown paste for you that you will pour on top of the pork loin. It's going to be so good. As it bakes, your house will smell like a candle. It's really awesome. All right, and now we will pour the sauce all the way down the pork loin. Cover it back up and cook for another 15 to 20 minutes. I like to, at the 15-minute mark, go ahead and open up the tent just so that the pork loin can brown a little more and the sugar and cinnamon can caramelize a little bit. Well, our pork loin is finished, and I would like to thank the kitchen at the Meadow Event Park for allowing me to cook here today. So we're going to go ahead and slice. The great thing about this recipe is that we've already cut some 3-inch deep slits where we have added our apples. So what we're going to do is that's about the portion that we want to cut. Just going to keep going all the way through that slit along the pork loin as you serve, and then plate pieces, and you want to make sure that you keep the apple in there too, because that's a added surprise as you're eating. I'm Cressa Jackson for Heart of the Home, and this is cinnamon apple pork loin. Come and get it.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.
There are 733 farms in the Old Dominion raising apples, almost 100 more than 5 years ago. Most apple orchards are less than 5 acres in size, and many sell for the fresh fruit market or to farmers markets. There are actually just 19 large orchards left in Virginia. Those are the ones raising apples on more than 100 acres of land. Approximately 190 pounds of apples were raised in Virginia last year, with more than half going to the processed food market. And the Shenandoah Valley and Central Virginia areas are still the best places to find an apple orchard, with the lion's share of apple production centered in Frederick County near Winchester.
Our vacation in a Virginia state park was a wonderful idea. The lodge is beautiful and it has so much room. The park staff are super helpful, and the kids are having such a great time. We're learning all about Virginia's history, and Mark and I even have time for just the two of us. This has been a wonderful experience, and we've never felt so close as a family. We'd love for you to join us. Love, Virginia.
Where do thoroughbred racehorses go when they retire? Well, as Dave Miller tells us, many are adopted by private owners and retrained for personal use.
The Thoroughbred Heritage Horse Show is a benefit for the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. Owners, trainers, and enthusiasts come out to raise funds for the foundation and to talk about ways to find new purposes for these beautiful racehorses. The main goal is to have fun, compare horses, and give the horses some experience in a show. It's a big change for a horse to come from a racetrack environment to a new home and a new lifestyle.
It's the first thoroughbred show to be here at the Meadow, and it's the first thoroughbred show here that is highlighting off-track thoroughbreds, OTTBs, and these are former racehorses who now have been retrained for other jobs. So you're seeing them in the ring doing hunter jumping, they're doing some dressage, there may even be some western, and so it's showing how versatile the thoroughbred really is.
The thoroughbred industry breeds a lot of horses, and many of them need a home after retiring from racing. Only a small number of these horses have long careers in racing or as breeding stock, so there are a lot of nice horses with nowhere to go. Layden says shows like this one help to bring the racing world and the horse show worlds together.
I am the owner of this horse. Her show name is After Dark. Her Jockey Club registered name is Watch My Lass. And I adopted her from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, but I'm also their trainer. So I knew the horse before I adopted her. And I have had her since 2012. And we show mainly in the hunters, and sometimes we do jumpers and some hunter trials, just a little bit of everything. And she's also a lead line mount for my daughter.
We call him Benny. His registered name is A.E. Pitt, but yes, he's pretty laid back. He is currently 7. He acts more like he's maybe 2, but nothing bad. But he has a great personality, loves to interact with his owners and riders and that sort of thing. But he's got a very mellow, laid-back way of going and attitude, which is very pleasant to be around.
The Thoroughbred Heritage Horse Show also pays tribute to the heritage of the Meadow, where Triple Crown winner Secretariat was born in 1973. And Riva Ridge, who also won the Derby and the Belmont in 1972, was also born there. This show had a gathering of 51 horses that have either Secretariat or one of the other Meadow champions in their pedigrees.
She's a 6-year-old thoroughbred, never finished any of her races. She was too distant for them to even count it, so she wasn't very good at that. I think she started maybe 6 times, decided she was too slow, and I ended up with her, like I said, about 6 days after her last race, and I've had her ever since.
She ran at Belmont in Aqueduct as a 3-year-old. She's by a stallion named Sir Cat, who's a son of the famous stallion Stormcat. And she had a pretty short career. She just ran for 1 year, and after that she was retired, and that's how she ended up eventually in this Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation.
A show like this one, being all thoroughbreds in a competitive class, is a great way to introduce horses to this atmosphere. Many of them will go on to do higher rank shows and events in the future.
In Virginia, a lot of folks don't know that the first thoroughbred in America came to Virginia in Hanover County, actually. And there's some very famous thoroughbreds, and we have some exhibits in the mansion for the Museum of the Virginia Horse that tell the story of some of these breeds that were developed in Virginia, like the thoroughbred, also the quarter horse. And then we have the Meadow Champion galleries that show a history of the farm. And then we have a Triple Crown room that shows the pictures of Secretariat and Riva Ridge's Triple Crown races. So the Farm Bureau has done a lot, I think, to raise the profile of the legacy, the equine legacy here at the Meadow. And then we have horse shows ongoing from spring into fall, plus what is going on at the State Fair. So it really is quite a horsey venue.
Thoroughbreds were bred to race, and most of those up for adoption have raced, but they are all individuals. Some are quiet and good with children, some have more heat and brightness. With time and patience, these horses can be retrained and repurposed to be great personal horses. In Caroline County, Virginia, I'm Dave Miller reporting.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we're proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.